Hi, Gaber. Welcome back. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Garet, and we're your hosts of Modern Gaze. On today's episode, we have love and relationship expert Trevor Kuhn from Love Daddy Trev. We're going to be answering the questions that many single gay men ask, like, why am I still single? How are all these other guys finding boyfriends? How do I keep attracting the wrong guy or unavailable men? Or even, how do I get to be in love for real? We're also going to be talking about friends versus dating in close-knit communities. How does being part of a close-knit gay community impact your dating dynamics? Well, let's get into it.
Us gays? We just know how to do stuff.
Well, what about modern gays?
That's easy. Modern gays do everything.
All right, so we have Trevor Kuhn from Love Daddy Trev joining us again. Welcome back to Modern Gaze.
So good to be back in Melbourne. It's just so lovely here today. I'm kidding.
Well,
welcome to Melbourne.
We have had a few chats now. You are officially a reoccurring guest star on Modern Gaze. Our audience has loved hearing your advice around dating. We talked about finding the one, and we talked about do sparks really give you a clear indication if this is a real thing or not. And today we're going to be talking about a lot of our behavior in dating and answering a lot of the questions that have come through from our audience as well about how they can be more authentic in their relationships. And right now we're celebrating Pride. Is Pride a good place to find a potential new love of your life?
So I have mixed feelings on that because I do know people who have met their person, at Pride or at a Pride event. Maybe they didn't spend that weekend together, but that's where they initially connected and it can grow into something from there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not something that you can expect to turn into anything, but you can certainly meet someone new at Pride. You're going to meet people that you would not normally meet. Everyone's in a celebratory mood, the adrenaline, the endorphins, the pride.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are dressed scantily if it's a warm climate.
Yeah.
And the hormones are going. So it's definitely a time where you kind of have to just let yourself experience and not necessarily put too much into it. You can get you can get disappointed if you're like getting your hopes up.
Maybe focus on the experience, because it's one of the few times like we can really be totally selfish and like really enjoy ourselves and know that there's like a lot of self-love there.
Do I sound, I hope I don't sound like, hey, don't shoot your shot. Like, absolutely, if you felt something, go for it. But that initial excitement doesn't always translate into this is my person, or this is definitely going somewhere, because that just sets you up for disappointment if it doesn't.
Yeah. But just enjoy the experience for what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in dating in general, I know that there's a lot of dating advice out there. And as a love and relationship coach, an expert that working with your clients, the advice is really much more tailored to our personal experiences as gay men or as queer people in general. How is dating different, you think, for gay men or other queer and LGBTQ plus people? How is our experience different, and what kind of information do we need more than anything else, really?
We all know this, but I think we don't always take it to heart. But if you're a man who is interested in other men, and everyone or the majority of people in that space are in that same category, then not only is there a potential to make a friend here, but there's also a potential to connect with someone romantically or sexually. But whereas in a straight setting, it's obviously different. Guys aren't going out to look for a girl to be friends with.
Right.
He's with his buddies and they're hoping to meet chicks. And so in specifically gay social settings, it's a lot of men in one space. Some people's hormones are raging depending on where their mind's at that night, if they're trying to get laid, or maybe it's been a while, right? Mm-hmm. Not only that, like, you don't know who's single, who's in a relationship.
Right. Have they slept with their friends that are also there with them in the bar?
Yeah, it can be tough, especially in a bar or like a club, to actually make a connection with somebody because they might just not be in the headspace for it. And I think that's one, right? That's one difference. And then you have everyone sizing each other up and comparing themselves to the other options in the room.
Yeah.
And you could be either the person who thinks that you're hot shit, or you could be the person who's insecure because you think other people around you look like they're what everybody wants. There's a competitive nature to dating for gay men. And I haven't quite put my finger on what that means universally, but because we are in essence competing for friend acceptance or friendship circles, and at the same time we're competing for the attraction of men, and then there's just that overarching theme of that is validation. We can say acceptance, which is very vital,
right?
But then there's the validation part where sometimes you have acceptance, but you don't have validation. And then you become an attention seeker. You're not having connection. You're just having people around you, but no one wants to get close because of your attention seeking ways. Or it's always like me.
You actually said something really interesting, which is competition. And
why do you think we're competitive when it comes to dating?
I think that most gay men, at least the gay and bi men that I know, struggled somewhat to feel accepted, to feel validated, to feel desired during our most formative years, especially if the only people that were desiring us were girls and we weren't into girls, then that we were missing something. As going through our most developmental years, it's like we're catching up.
Right.
Like, okay, I need as much male attention as possible because I didn't get any for the time, that time period where I wanted it. And of course, the time period is different for everyone. And I think it's becoming a shorter and shorter period as people are coming out younger. But even then, I think we have a long way to go. I think it sort of just manifests into competition.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that competition gets more and more competitive once you get into larger groups of friends where you may have similar interests or styles or things that you're into.
And that's why I think we're competitive, is because especially within the gay culture, you always want to have the best. So you're always trying to like be competitive to try and find the best guy for you, you know?
Which is sad because there's so many incredible human beings in every aspect of their life, and especially
I'm not
in
saying
groups.
it's a good thing to do.
I know. I just want to make that clear.
I see that. Like, people are bypassing each other.
Yeah.
Attraction obviously encompasses more than just physical appearance. People that are bypassing each other, they're looking at their ideal version of a hot person, and that's what they want to be with or be associated with, right? I just did a reel, but it had to do with gay men choosing friendships based on attraction. And I was just posing a question, like, do we think that we seek out friendships based on whether or not they're attractive? Not necessarily, we only want friends with benefits, we want them to be hot, but do we want to be around attractive people, and do we feel more attractive or more important or more valid by association? There was a lot of discussion in the comments, and of course there's something very universally human about that. I mean, beauty has been uplifted for centuries, and at the same time, it feels like it may be more concentrated, or at least a different type of concentration in the gay community. Because the men we are friends with and the men we sleep with and or date are all in the same pool.
Do you feel like a lot of people find comfort in the pool that they're in and they just stick to it? Or do you feel like it's in our nature to want to try different things?
There's two sides of the same coin there. You know, we like variety, and at the same time, we like what we know.
Yeah.
Which maybe causes a lot of confusion for a lot of people.
Answer the question yourself. Would you jump in the same pool, or do you like to jump in different pools?
No, I like consistency. I like building a tribe. I do like that, but I like diversity in my tribe. And if I can't get everyone in one group, I'll have multiple groups of friends and different scenes that I like to be within. Like I have my nerdy film cinema side that I love to get into tech and photography. And then I also like fitness and taking care of myself and health and wellness. And then I like traveling. I like fashion. Like I get into a lot of different stuff. Like and not everyone is interested in all those things. And I need to seek out the people that do, but I also don't have a solid group of a bunch of gay friends that are like that.
Right.
Daniel's like that. That's why I
What am I
married him.
like? What am I like?
You were similar in that way. We build relationships and groups of friends in a similar way.
Yes.
And I found a partner that acts in that way. And that's why we have such a kind of coagulated friend group.
Yeah. We don't have that core sexy, mean girl, gay group of friends that we walk into a club and we're like, oh, they're coming. You know, like, you know, there are a group of gays where when they're together as a tribe or they're at the gym working out, you just know that they're coming as a group. Like that's their friendship group.
Yeah. And I don't have that either.
Right.
There are definitely those groups where you know they think that they're hot shit. I want to just go back to what we had talked about with the bypassing. Everyone wants the hottest one, right? If you're chatting with these 4 guys and one is clearly the hottest, even if they're all attractive, the hottest one is going to get the most attention, or people are going to be vying for his attention. And you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm trying to get out of this? I said this to a friend recently. We were having drinks and chatting about dating. He's single. And I was kind of picking his brain. And he was talking about this guy he met who was just like beautiful, right? And he's just, you when you're in the presence one-on-one with someone who's beautiful, maybe your heart flutters a little bit and you're like, oh my God, this person's paying attention to me. All I want is just to have this like beautiful husband or whatever. I want the beautiful prince to come and just give me that happily ever after. And this fantasy starts building up. And I said to my friend, can we just let him be beautiful?
Right.
Do we have to have an outcome? Do we have to be with him? Like, can we appreciate beauty without needing to absorb beauty? So he was like, yeah, you're right. Let him be beautiful. Like, I'm like, you're beautiful too. Just think about what is it that you're trying to get or feel by latching on to the most attractive. If your goal is to connect with someone and have a relationship or like have fun, like, find the next attractive person that's not getting as much attention, because you probably have a better shot.
Yeah. And I think it's like, if you're already in your head about it, it's not going to help you. Right? If you're already like, oh my God, this person's so gorgeous, and I'm just thinking about how gorgeous they are, and then you're not focusing on how gorgeous you are. Like focus on you.
You're not present.
Yeah. And I think if you come with the energy of like, yeah, I'm gorgeous and I'm sitting in front of another gorgeous person, like we're gorgeous together. Oh my God. Like that's the energy.
A lot of people, like through our experiences of people we've had on the show, and I think people that have connected with us, is that whenever we have experiences that we think we want or that we think we actually desire, when you stop and take a moment to actually be like, how does this make me feel? Sometimes we actually come to that moment where we're like, actually, I don't want it. You know, it's just like we chase that desire or that fantasy or that lust, but actually it doesn't make us feel good.
Within that self-talk, even when you're on a date, how do you get out of that? Like, how do you get out of your own head and just have a conversation, you know, with the other person, trying to learn about who they are?
You ask questions about them and you listen. The way to be present with someone is to listen to them. You can't be focused on 2 things at once.
Right.
I don't care whatever idea that you have about being a multitasker. If you're in the presence of someone and you're focused on yourself, you're not with them.
I love that.
You're over here, worrying about you and worrying about how you're being perceived and worrying about impressing them in some way or making a positive first impression. Like if you're in your head, you're not in your heart, you're not connected. We're searching for connection. On a date. The goal of the date is not to impress somebody. And you guys have said that before. You probably weren't trying to impress each other on your first date. Or were you? Tell the truth.
Well, I think Garet and I were very present on our first date. Like I think that's what connected us, was that we were so engaged and we asked each other one another questions back and forth, and we rallied each other. And I think it helped us build a strong connection.
I also was really nervous, but didn't want to show my nervousness. So I really had to boost up my own confidence in the moment because I felt like, I was sitting in front of a beautiful man and I was like, conscious of that. And then, when I would normally be a bit more self-critical or get a bit more shy, because I think naturally, like I'm a very shy person.
You were shy.
But in my mind, I felt like I was really just as present as I could be. And I thought in my mind, okay, I'm sexy. Like I look good. I'm like showing up. I had the
leather jacket on.
And I just really leaned into my own sexiness rather than getting into Daniel's, at least in that first moment.
I'd say you did.
Yeah.
I'd say you definitely did.
In my dating years, like out and about or through friends, or in West Hollywood, like on the strip somewhere. And
it's a great place to meet people.
They always ended up as just like shorter term relationships or just hookups. And I didn't really go anywhere that exciting. When I got on the apps or when I like really put myself out there, I was able to really quickly connect with people faster because I knew what their intentions were. Like I knew if they were like Mr. Right or Mr. Right now, but I was really like trying to go on a date and find someone that wanted to start dating. So I could be a little bit more clear with what my intentions are and also
what theirs was.
Figure out what theirs are. And I think that led me to finding you. But at the same time, there's a lot of, like you said, guys out there and you're just swiping and it can get overwhelming. Like
tapping.
What are like some tips for the apps these days? Like what can we do to really not get overwhelmed by using those to find love?
With the apps, acknowledge what territory you're entering. And again, talking about the competitiveness and the comparison that goes on, it's even, I would say, more so on the apps because you're swiping. You're comparing each one to the next.
They're all there, right? All the tiles are there.
And you literally have filters. Like those, you can filter it down to like to shocking detail.
Yeah.
To shocking
detail.
Give me an example of how shocking it can get.
Well, on one, literally on something, you can like actually like have your like
you can do
package
fetish
size. Like you can say like,
wait, you cannot say your dick size.
Yes, you can. Like on one of them, you can. And I think that's like
you can lie about it.
And you could obviously lie about it, like
until there's proof in the pudding.
Yeah, well, you got to show up and then be like,
here I am.
Yeah, but there's a lot of detail.
So be careful about how much you're filtering and who you're excluding from the search because you might not find what you're looking for if it's so specific.
Agree.
Like, why do that to them? Why do it to yourself?
Correct.
Can I actually give a quote?
Yeah.
It was Karamo. And it was basically like a Karamo on different topics, right? He said, I hate dating apps because they allow us to reject on the most superficial levels of being human. And I think we haven't seen the effects, especially in the LGBT community, on self-esteem and on our relationships. So we're reducing people to their appearance.
Yeah.
What do we think is going to happen?
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's what I said at the start of the episode, right? Like we're constantly competitive to try and get the best one based on status, superficial looks, personality, like whatever it might be. It's not really like about a connection.
Yeah. Or like really getting into the part of their mind that can be so beautiful, or like their soul, or like really how they think and what they do and how they show up.
Making you breakfast and protein pancakes with strawberries and cream.
Like, or like the small things that they do to show their love and connection. Like you don't get that.
Right.
So I know that like with the apps, they help build connection, but as well as can tear you apart if you let it.
And if you're swiping or chatting or whatever access you have to people on the apps you're using.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the feedback or the response or the matches, and you're basing your own self-worth on the outcome of these grids or these
potential
swipe
bots
platforms, then that's going to be so damaging.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're realizing that, if you can take a step back, and if you're not going to be able to use it and feel good, like don't use
Don't
it.
use it. Yeah.
But I think the thing is, the difference between Instagram and those like sexual dating apps or Tinder, whatever it might be, is that there's more on the line when you have those types of apps, because that's where you feel like you should find the one, or you should find your soulmate, or
why
your
isn't
sex
it
buddy.
working? I've been on this forever.
There's more at stake.
Yeah.
There's more at stake. I think also I see this happening where you'll meet a guy out and you guys have added each other on Instagram, but then with like there's some intention behind that, and then it doesn't go anywhere, and you're like, well, he seemed interested in person, and then it was almost the opposite, right? Sometimes you meet someone on an app and then you meet them in person, it doesn't go anywhere. Other times you meet them in person and there's like that spark, and
Right.
you connect on the socials, and then you're like, well, what happened? I don't want to say don't be affected. Like, we are human, we're going to be affected. But if you're noticing that it's with frequency that it affects you in a negative way, then it's maybe time to like just take a break, step away, deal with your feelings, maybe do more social in-person events where you can meet and talk and connect with guys without any sort of outcome attached to it.
I love that.
That's where it gets dangerous. It's when anytime you attach an outcome to something and you don't get that outcome, then it's disappointing, it's disempowering, and you lose confidence, and it's just it's no good.
In the time of pride now, when searching for love and building relationships, what are some of the key things that you can leave our listeners with as they look for love over the next 30 days during Pride?
Don't look for love. First things first.
Love yourself.
Love yourself, of course. You can be loved. I actually have a piece of art that a girl made for me once, and it's just a little card that she was drawing on, and she was sketching and coloring, and it says, "You are love." Not you are loved, just you are love, meaning like I am love. And I kept that. I never really keep cards, but that just really spoke to me. Not only was it handmade, but it also just, it was at a time too where I think I wasn't feeling a lot of love. And when I got to like take it on, like I am love in human form, in energy, in personality. Like, I can show up as love. So, and that's really what Pride is about. So let's like start there. Show up 100% authentically as the love that you are, and then you're not needing to find it somewhere. So there's that, right?
If you are love and you found it because you are it.
If you're
that.
it, then it's not out there somewhere at the festival. You know, and then just have fun and don't hang out with your friends and kiki and dance and just be loved together. Like, don't, again, unattach yourself from an outcome or a goal. Like, oh, I'm going to kiss 10 boys at the Pride Festival. No, maybe you're not. Like, maybe you don't need to. Maybe you do kiss a couple, or like, when is enough?
Right. Well, enough's never enough in the community, I think.
Never enough, right?
Never enough.
So just, have fun and kiss whoever you want, as long as it's consensual, and take care of each other. I think priorities when you're out in a social setting.
Well, prioritize yourself, prioritize your own love, and prioritize the people that give you love in your life already.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us again on Modern Gaze. We love having you on, and I think you are officially our correspondent of dating and finding the one.
Wow, I'm so honored to be a correspondent.
Next, we have to have a live dial-in from New York City streets.
We need you on the streets, walking around, interviewing people.
I can do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So until next week, keep building the vibrant life you want by owning your authentic self. Hey everyone, it's Daniel and Garet from Modern Gaze. You know how we're all about owning your authentic self, right? Well, we found something that's totally in line with that. It's called Homes Decor, spelled with 2 M's. Yeah, like home, but make it French and fabulous. This place is not your average home decor store. It's a vibe.
Picture this, guys. Provocative pillows that start conversations, gay vintage art that's like a time machine to the past, and futuristic drag queen portraits that are just iconic. It's all about expressing you.
And get this, they're offering free international shipping for orders over $200.
Save that money!
So you can be fabulous no matter where you are in the world.
Oh, and because we love you guys, use the code ModernGaze at checkout for a cheeky 10% off. It's like a high five from us to you.
So go ahead, make your space as vibrant as you are. Check out Homes, that's HOMMES, decor.com, and let your home tell your story.